Thanks for joining us in this video from Irwindale Public Library, where we will be talking about job searching for young adults. And when we're job searching, most of our job searching is going to be done online, usually all of your job searching. So whether you're using a site like Indeed or Monster, a ZipRecruiter, government jobs, different things like that, the most important thing when searching is utilizing the different search features. So you have to think about, are you looking for just any job or are you looking for the perfect job? If you're looking for any job, you can use a lot of broader search terms like childcare or things like that. But if you're looking for something specific, you need to focus on using really specific search terms. And if you can also think about using auto apply, if you're just thinking about any job, so you don't spend so many times redoing your resume for each job. Auto apply will just take care of that for you. But if this is a very specific job that you are interested in, you should spend the time to work on your resume and just make it perfect and fit for that job. If you are job searching, another thing you want to do is set a goal. How much time are you going to spend browsing for jobs each week? How many applications are you going to do each week? You want to try and set that goal and stick to it. And it can be very time consuming and tedious. If you're using the same site in the same job search site, you should try and sort by new every time you come back so you don't keep seeing those old job postings. You should also keep in mind that it's actually really normal and it's not personal when you don't hear back from jobs. Rejections may feel personal, but they're really not. A lot of jobs just never get back to you. And even when we feel discouraged, remember that if we do get up, we are never going to find that new job. Another thing is try and keep track of the jobs that you've applied to, especially if you're applying for a lot of jobs. You can save the original job posting or write down what you've applied to. This is important because you don't want to apply to the same job 2 times because that doesn't look like very good for you. It looks like you're not paying attention. And if you do go on to an interview, if you don't save that job posting, sometimes it will be gone, it'll be taken down, and then when you're at the interview and they ask you these questions, if you don't remember the job details, that's going to be a problem. Another thing to keep in mind when job searching is job scams, because job scams are truly everywhere. It's a good idea to just kind of filter through jobs and see if they are a little bit suspicious. Some things that are red flags would be a really crazy high salary when the job says it has no experience or it's hiring recent college grads or things like that. If it says no experience and it says, oh, we're going to pay you $100,000 a year, it's probably a scam. Another thing is if you see like a huge salary range where they'll say like, oh, you could be making $10,000 a year up to $120,000 a year, that's usually not a good sign. And jobs that are commission only are also not often a good idea, or anything that sounds like a mid-level marketing scheme. Jobs that require you to pay money to get trained, to get hired, jobs that require you to buy something to work for them, again, it's not a good idea. Also, going back to the commission, things that don't have a base pay, usually, again, not a good idea. Anything that's like cold calling, going door to door, you just need to be careful because often these are scam jobs. Things you can do if you feel like a post is fishy is Google the name of the company and then also add the word scam and see if anything pops up. Another thing that can help you if you're interested in a company is to look at some employee reviews on Glassdoor. So not all companies are here, but often enough you can find a company that you're interested in and get some real feedback from employees. Do keep in mind that sometimes they can be unfairly biased, either very positive reviews or very negative reviews, so take it with a grain of salt. But if you do see common themes from multiple employees and it seems like it's maybe not a great company, you should definitely consider that. Another thing is you should apply for jobs if you are a close match but not an exact match. So even if you don't meet all the requirements they are asking, but you seem like you'd be a decent fit, you feel like you meet some of the requirements, you should still apply. If you're short a year or 2 of experience, if you don't have all the exact skills that they list, but you are closer to this, it's still worth a shot. Don't feel like if you don't meet the job description, you shouldn't apply, because often companies, if you're a good candidate and you don't meet 100% of what they're saying, they will still hire you. It's worth applying to these jobs. And you're not really losing anything by just sending out an application. Also, if you're on a job hunting spree and you're applying for a lot of jobs, you could think about making a separate email address that you're using just for applying for jobs. Otherwise, your email inbox is going to get overwhelmed. You could lose things in there. If you have just one account just for job hunting, that will help you stay organized. And next, let's talk a little bit about resumes and applications. So a helpful tip is keep a document on your personal computer, on your cell phone, something like that, where you track your current job tasks. You track skills you have at your job, skills you've learned, accomplishments at your current job, past jobs, things that look really good. This can help you because if we're in an interview, sometimes we get asked for a specific example and we can't really remember, or we can add these to our resume. If you have specific positive things that you have done and you can remember them, this is going to really benefit you. Also, for past employers, even for your current employer, if you can, try and ask for reference letters. Ask if they'd be willing to be your phone reference, your email reference. If you have a positive performance review, keep that. You can use that. And if you're making a new resume or trying to update your resume, try and look at sample resumes online for the field that you're interested in, for your current field. See if, are they listing things on these sample resumes that you don't have on yours, but you actually are doing or know how to do? Is there something on your resume that you should take away? Is there something you should add? This can help you to really streamline your resume. Also remember that resumes should be very easy to skim through. They should be spread out. We don't want these thick blocks of text. Think about when an HR person is quickly going through your resume, they don't want to be overwhelmed with a lot of words. You need to make it readable. Have a professional summary, a sentence or two about yourself, share your unique skills. You should also have your list of skills. Make it interesting. Have like action words, interesting words. List things that are marketable, that are specific to you. Try not to list things that everyone has. Everyone knows how to use Microsoft Word. Everyone is a team player. This usually is not helpful. You want to make your resume, your list of skills unique to you, and also a little more eye-catching. Also, when you're making your resume, remember that you don't need to list every job that you've ever had, and you probably actually should not do that. You want to keep jobs, you want to list jobs that are relevant to the job that you're applying for, or relevant with your experience. It's okay for you to remove old jobs. It's okay for you to remove work experience that's not relevant. Or if you don't want to do that, just have like one sentence, like I worked here. But you don't need to really expand on it if it's not relevant to the job that you want. And try and match your resume to the job description that you're applying for, especially if this is a job that you are really, really interested in. So look at that job posting and take those terms in the job posting and put them in your resume. Show how the job posting fits what you already do. Show how you're a perfect fit by using the same words or similar words than what they are listing. If you can in your resume, and not everyone can do this, if you can include numbers or percentages in your resume, showing how you've benefited the company, showing specific things. You can say, if this is, let's say you're in marketing, or sales, you boosted sales by 10% in the year of blah blah blah. This isn't possible for every job, but if it's possible for yours, the more specific, the more numbers you can use, the better it looks. Also, it's great to use a resume building website, a building resource. Hloom is a great one. They have an excellent articles about creating your resume, and they also have a resume maker. And continuing talking about resumes, try and use keywords in your resumes. What are keywords about the skills or the talents in your field? What are keywords from the job posts? You want to include these in your resume. You want to include these in your cover letters because some hiring departments, they may only scan or utilize a software that's checking to see if you have these keywords in your resume. And you don't want to be a great candidate who's missed because even though you have the skills they're looking for, you didn't include them on your resume. And cover letters are something that you should be using, especially if it's a job that you really want. Cover letters are definitely a pain, but they are worth it. They do help personalize you as a candidate. They are something extra more than just sending in a resume. It shows that you've put this extra effort in. And if you're writing your cover letter, you should try and expand what you've included in your resume or highlight the top things from your resume so that you are really this personalized candidate. Sometimes people say, oh, cover letters are dated, they're not really needed anymore, but you shouldn't really accept that advice. They are helpful and you should try and use them. And remember, when you are making your resume and your cover letter, what you really want to focus on is how are you the ideal candidate for the job? How are you meeting the skills that they are looking for? You want to, again, use those same words. If you don't have these exact skills, do you have something similar that shows crossover? That is something that, like, hey, this is maybe not exactly what you're looking for, but it's quite similar and they can use this, they would like this. And try when you're doing your resume and cover letter to avoid excessive wordiness. This can be something that is hard if you're not a trained writer. So if possible, you should try maybe just one time paying for a resume writing service just so they can go through your resume, streamline it, take out wordiness, change things. It can be very helpful. And it can be really as cheap as $20 for professional resume services to look over and to make your resume look really good. This can actually help you to get the job, and it's a good investment. And we talked about this a bit earlier, but when you're doing your online applications, focus on using reputable job sites. This would be something like Indeed, Government Jobs, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, Monster, probably not Craigslist. Use, again, that general resume that can be modified. If the site has an option of creating a profile, you should do that. And sometimes sites ask you to link your social media. And if you have a good, clean social media, that's something nice that you should think about doing because, again, that really will personalize you as a candidate. And we did say make sure you don't double apply, but really make sure you don't double apply. It just honestly, it makes you look not good, especially if this job is posted on multiple job websites. Don't apply to the job on every single job website, just apply once. It does look bad. It will sometimes fool you out as a candidate because it means that you're not being careful, you're not paying attention. And at our library, we have a great resource. It's called Job Now. This one, it can connect you with a coach who will help you in your job searching, and it does have a free resume review option. So this is a great free one to look for rather than paying for someone and or in addition to, and you can access it using your library card. It's worth looking into. And now moving on to interviews, which are the scary ones. So a great thing to do is to research online common interview questions, general interview questions and specific ones, especially ones for your field. So some interview questions are like, a lot of jobs will ask them like, tell me about yourself. Why are you a good fit for this job? Some interview questions are going to be very specific to your job, and you usually can find them online if you research them. And if you come prepared with answers that you've rehearsed, that you've memorized, you're going to look really good. You're going to look a lot more prepared than someone who has not done some research. Also remember that many jobs are going to ask for scenario questions. They're going to ask for questions about your past experience. So this is where, if you've been keeping track of things from your past jobs, this will really come in handy. If they ask a question about tell me about a time, you actually will have something that you can share, and it's going to look very good for you. When you're going into an interview, make sure that you've researched the organization. Look at their website, look at all the pages on their website, know what they're doing, know what they're offering, know what they're up to, know as much as you can about this company. It looks really bad if you go into a job interview and you don't know about the company. Also, make sure you know what these job duties are. This is where, if you've saved that original job posting, you want to memorize what are the job duties in this job, because they're not going to mention them in the interview, but they will ask you about them. They want to know that you know what the job duties are, what the skills are. Try and practice before your interview. This can help you to build your confidence. This can help you to have your answers to be quick, to be ready, to be prepared. You can practice with a friend, you can practice on your own in front of a mirror. Whatever you can do, really just try and rehearse. It will help your confidence. And try and choose an outfit the day before. Don't do it the morning of. When you're coming in, arrive and check in at least 5 to 10 minutes early. If it's a city or an area you don't know, drive through the area a week before. Figure out, where can I park? What building am I going to be going to? What room? Nothing is worse than arriving there on time, but you become late because you can't figure out where to park. You can't find the building, things like that. These kinds of things, usually that will just kind of knock you right off the list. It does set a bad first impression. When you're coming into the interview, don't bring a lot of stuff with you. Just bring like a small bag. Don't bring a coffee, a water, a sandwich. Don't do that. Don't be on your phone when you're waiting for them to come get you for the interview. And make sure you come with your documents, any documents that you think they might ask for. They might not ask for it, but you should have your resume. You should have your references. You should have these things just in case. You don't want to appear and not have something to give to them. Again, there's a lot of reasons to rule you out, and you want to make sure you're not giving them any reasons that are going to make them not interested in you. And think ahead of time, because very often they'll ask you questions such as like, oh, do you have any questions? That'll usually be the last question in the interview. Ahead of time, think about some questions you can ask this company. Don't say, no, I don't have any questions. Don't say that. Ask a question. Have a list of questions. It can be something like, ask them about a challenge they're facing at their job. Ask them about a typical day at the job, things like that. You can use Google and look up this question, see what's a good answer to this. And continuing on about interviews, make sure you're listening carefully when you are being asked interview questions, and try and note exactly what they are asking. A lot of times the questions they are asking actually have multiple parts to them, and I know it can be hard when we're nervous, but it's really important to pay attention, because you don't want to be asked a multi-part question where you only answer part of the question. They're not going to be like, oh, you forgot to mention about this part. They're not going to do that. It's going to make you look bad because it looks like you're not paying attention. And it's also okay if you need a second, just ask like, oh, like let me have a second to think or something like that, just to kind of gather your thoughts if you can't think of an immediate answer, rather than just trying to figure out something right then and there. And try and be concise and don't ramble. So when they're asking you a question, be very specific in your examples. Be concrete, offer details. Try not to talk too much where you're getting off topic, or also too little where you're not fully answering the question. Just remember, answer the question, give necessary details. Don't give in any extra info that's not really related to the question. Also, being personable will really help you a lot during your interview. It makes you stand out. Try and make a personal connection with your interviewer or your interviewers. Use their names if you can. That's a really powerful tip. Develop rapport. Practice being an active listener. Eye contact, smiling, showing your personality. This can really help you stand out. If you're mentioning any other of your previous jobs in your interview, do not speak poorly of your past job, and don't speak poorly of your past supervisor. That just makes you look bad. Try not to do that. Also, this is something small, but if you can follow up after your interview with a thank you note, that actually will make a difference, and that just adds a little special touch. And it's okay if you want to follow up with a job if you haven't heard back from them and it's been 2 weeks or more, unless they told you that like, oh, we're running really slow, it's going to be a while, we'll get back to you, it could be a month or two. Don't follow up if they've told you that. Follow up if you're not really sure. Be aware that some jobs do have multiple interviews. You're going to be interviewed more than once, and that's fine. If you're getting invited for a second interview, that's a really good thing. And if they tell you something specific, like, we're going to pick our final candidate on this week and we're going to tell them, and then let's say that week comes and you don't hear back, that's usually a good sign that you didn't get the job, unfortunately. And sometimes even after going to like 2 interviews or even 3 interviews, they actually may never tell you whether you got the job or not. And that's really unfair. It's not really fun. But if you haven't heard back, and it's been a long time, it's been 3 interviews, usually you can assume that you didn't get the job. You can reach out. Sometimes they won't even respond to that. It's usually just a missed detail on their end. And lastly, we have some of our final tips. Remember to be great. Be great at your current job, because that will help you to get your next job. Really bring your best self, your best skills, all these things. And you want to have good references. That really can be key for getting a new job. Have 3 or even more recent references who are willing to speak positively about you and your job with them. Ideally, if you can have your supervisor, that's the best type of reference. Remember that sometimes you can find a job that's lower paying, but it's also a great experience that's going to lead you on that path to your dream job. That can be a better choice than, let's say, a better paying job that's taken you away from your desired career path. So sometimes it's not all about the money. If this is a great opportunity, a great chance to get this experience, but maybe the salary is not ideal, remember that if you can stick this out, this can land you closer to your dream job. If you have a career plan, try to stick to it as much as possible. If you're trying to move up in a particular field, don't take an opportunity that's not going to bring you closer to your dream. And if you are really stuck on a certain career field, be willing to have multiple part-time jobs. Have 2 part-time jobs in this desired field. Have volunteer experience. Have some educational courses related to your ideal job. Do whatever you can to get you closer to landing that perfect full-time opportunity. And just understand that it does take a lot of time and a lot of rejections to make it and to get to your dream job. As long as you keep trying, you keep working towards that path, you are going to get there. And that's the end for information about job searching. We wish you luck on your job searching journey.